Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive into the local news?
Welcome to the 220th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle editor-in-chief Eric Schwartz and Chronicle reporter Owen Sexton. We're also joined in spirit by sponsor Summit Funding, Shayless Outfitters, and the Roof Doctor. I have no preambles, gentlemen.
I've got one because it was just broken to me by Owen, our guest host today. You might have seen on the internets yesterday the gentleman who on Monday went over to the Veterans Memorial Museum and spun out, did some donuts, ripped up the lawn. Did you see that?
You mean the entry for Hero of the Week this week?
No, that's just a stupid thing to say. Owen brought me breaking news. He's been caught, or he turned himself in. What happened, Owen?
He turned himself in. Apparently, yeah, he showed up to the museum. He was very, very apologetic from what Chip Duncan, the executive director, told me. And he also made a very sizable donation to help pay for the repairs for all the damage he caused, which might actually not even be needed because I know that they also have been, they've had a lot of community outreach and volunteers offering to donate both their time, labor, and even equipment to help fix the lawn.
You do not hear that very much. Someone returning to the scene of the crime, yes, but paying for their damage now. So I would like to find out who it was just for my own knowledge, but
just
I have
blast
a feeling
him on the front page. Villain turned hero.
Yeah, exactly.
He declined to release his name. He didn't want to do that, which, understandable because there still might be some people out there who would give him some hate.
So it's highly likely this gentleman was just out and about celebrating the inauguration of President Trump on Monday or Martin Luther King Jr. Day, one or the other.
Those are both very good reasons to do donuts.
Yeah, so they did donuts.
It was probably one of those two reasons, if not both.
You don't see the internet mob united very often, but this one certainly united everyone. I was seeing all sorts of comments from people that are usually fighting with pointy sticks in the comments, and they were all in agreement, so...
All right, well, that's a pretty good preamble. You guys ready to jump into news items or anything else?
Do you think this guy was in the comments? Like, we better get this guy.
Yeah. I
How could he do
this? This is outrageous. He should pay a handsome fine.
I bet the guy was really good looking, though, at least, huh?
Anyways, that's all I have for preambles.
All right, news items. First up, Green Hill School inmates testify in favor of bills that would allow petitions for early release at age 24. They were talking about a set of bills called the Youth Hope Act, which proposes letting inmates who are sentenced as adults for crimes they committed while not adults to petition to get out early. The four inmates who testified spoke positively of the support and opportunities received at Green Hill School to reflect on their mistakes and commit themselves to making better choices going forward. I think it sounds like a pretty good thing. And I don't mean to poke fun at anyone, but if you told me the photo was four guys my age who host a podcast about movies based on comic books you'd never heard of, I would 100% have believed it.
Well, you are 100% throwing shade by saying that.
That guy's fully bald. Not a bald shame, but...
But just let me get this straight, and it's not criticizing. I'm just making sure I understand it. I did edit this, so I should understand it. So the JR to 24 or JR to 25, anyways, you get convicted as a juvenile. You can stay in juvenile detention to you're like in your mid-20s. This is so when you reach that point in the mid-20s and they're going to move you to Department of Corrections, you could petition to get released rather than go to the DOC.
Is that?
I think that's generally what it is. And the commenters, unlike you, did not like this idea.
Hey.
I remember, reading something to the effect where, the guy's advocating it for saying, give us a chance to prove that we reformed and we've changed. So,
and
it could be. There's worse ideas out there involving Green Hill.
Is what they said about JR to 25 like 4 years ago. Also, what they said about shutting down Maple Lane and just shoving all those vulnerable kids in with Green Hill and shutting down Nacelle. I could go on and on.
Yeah, I keep going on and on. No, look, it's an idea. You're not going to.
Here's an idea.
Sure. Here we go.
Bob Ferguson, governor. He's been more bipartisan than his predecessor. What if he just takes this issue, just give it to the Republicans? That way, if they screw it up, you can be like, well, that's their problem. If they fix it, they fix it.
If there's one thing Republicans in government these days are known for, it's admitting their mistakes.
I see what you did there. But that would be good. Braun has been like the most vocal opponent to the way things are going. Give it to them. Let them figure it out.
All right.
Just an idea.
Braun's idea was actually to house all the extra offenders in ambulances.
I know that wasn't Braun's
that he
idea.
sells.
It's not going to be on your notes, so can I use it as a quick segue to just say we have some new news at cronline.com. Green Hill, former Green Hill employee
Did you say
who
nude
had
nudes?
Inappropriate relationships with inmate. I might as well have said it. Convicted of abuse of office. Angel Misner of Ethel, I believe, is one of 5 staffers who's been charged with a crime this year.
Hey, Ethel, that's my neighbor.
There you go. Yeah. So
Right
now
down the
everybody
road.
knows where you live.
Right?
Yeah.
She was acquitted of custodial sexual misconduct, tampering with a witness, introducing contraband and money laundering. However, she was found guilty of official abuse of office.
Money laundering?
That was one of the charges, yeah.
Interesting.
You might remember that she was one of the individuals that was arrested alongside another, and they called each other while in jail, and they were talking about what kind of coverage they were going to get in the Chronicle in mugshots and kind of making light of the whole thing.
How's that feel to you?
I mean, I processed her mugshot again today.
That's what really matters in that situation.
Yeah. And it ended up like causing her bail to get lifted to $500,000, so she was still in jail, but it looks like she's only going to maybe spend a day or 2 more in there after this.
Okay. All right, next item. Timberland Regional Library surpasses 2 million digital checkouts. Per the library, the achievement highlights the library's commitment to serving the diverse needs of its community by providing an extensive collection of books, audiobooks, and other digital media. I just wanted to run through this top 5 list and see if either of you have checked out or
As I was the one who produced this news item, I will say no.
I was just wondering if you, yeah. So the top 5 digital titles are Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Moss, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and The Women by Kristen Hanna. I looked. I had never heard of any of these books,
Neither have I.
and I fancy I pop into a bookstore now and again.
You're a learned man. Is what
I'm
you're
an
saying.
educated fella. Never heard of any of these. It just shows we've all got something to learn.
Yeah. What
Like I
what was the
learned.
last book you read?
I'm reading
Insurance for Dummies?
The Amazing Adventures of. I haven't finished that one yet. I'm reading Cavalier and Clay right now.
Interesting.
But, this whole list doesn't make any sense because I was told all the library had was pornography for children, and none of this appears to be pornography for children. That
But you don't know.
That must only be at the physical library because I can't imagine there's pornography for children on the internet. That seems irresponsible.
That's fair. Oh, and what was the last book that you read? Not to put you on the spot.
For me, it was, I'm actually still reading it. It's The Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Been on a little bit of a sci-fi kick, and recently did watch that, too, on Apple TV. It was a pretty good show, so I figured, I'll check out that book.
That's a good idea.
All right.
But no, I was going to say, I'm definitely not up to date on new books either, so yeah, I haven't heard of any of these.
Haven't fired up A Court of Thorns and Roses yet.
Can't say that I have.
I have to say,
Even though I'm a Game of Thrones fan, that sounds like it might be up that alley.
Yeah, and look, they all sound fairly like, I think they're young adult fantasy type books.
Yeah.
The last books I read, because I keep reading them, are Our Hometowns Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, plus The Flood of 2007, all available at the Chronicle 321 North Pearl Street. Come on down, son. Eric sent you, and we will send you home with a book.
I only buy books you can find at Shayla's Outfitters.
What else we got down there? Walking Tall? No, that's not Walking Tall. Walking Joe, the Denny Waller book. We've got that one as
Is it
well.
the Vin Diesel, The Rock movie?
The Gordon Adlin column book, Saturday's Child, another good one that we've got downstairs.
You can always pick up any editions of the Chronicle you may have missed.
Yeah,
too.
any editions of the Chronicle. That's pretty much a book, 3 times a week.
Schwartz will bind them for you and give you a whole month's worth of Chronicle.
I won't do any of that.
Chronicle Quarterly, they're called.
What a horrible book.
Next.
That would just be awful.
Next item, couple opens Hutch Menswear in downtown Chehalis. They're bringing a new men's fashion option to downtown.
This is an Owen joint. You got them here if you got questions.
I do. The owners are Peter and Rachel Atkinson. They had an online store since 2017 called Beautiful Boutique. It's a Jerry's old store on Market in Chehalis.
M&K Town Store.
Yeah, I liked this bit. Originally built by the Chehalis Improvement Company, according to the Historical Society, the building housed First National Bank, Mars Drugstore, Garrison Drugstore, and Henry Mandel's men's clothing store until 1934, when it was sold to Schwartz and Company.
Ah, Grandpa.
And as usual, a Schwartz took over and drove it into the ground, only to be revived years later by a forward-thinking fellow with an eye for fashion.
Is that how you see yourself? A learned, forward-looking man with an eye for fashion.
But Owen, how were the fits in there? Did you? Is this where you got your outfit?
No, they did not have any Green Bay Packer apparel when I was unfortunately. But no, they did have a nice selection. Yeah, whether you're looking for, it's mostly business casual, I'll say. Some they did have some denim in there as well, but just a nice general men's clothing store, and also accessories too: belts, watches, wallets, all that kind of stuff.
You're like, let me see your best denim.
They had some pretty fancy. They had even had one called, it was a brand I'd never heard of, and I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and it's called Devil Dog. And yeah, I'm guessing it's probably owned by a Marine too, but
Well, no,
if you want some Devil Dog jeans, you can go there and get them.
All right.
You did a nice job. As soon as I opened the store, at first I was like, I hope he touches on VanTuyls here, but Owen's only been here a few years. He probably won't. Fourth word in, VanTuyls clothing. I was like, hell yeah,
Did
he
his
got it.
homework.
He got it.
I was the one that wrote about VanTuyl clothing too. So
Is it I can't conceptualize square feet in my head. So like, how big is it? Compare it to our newsroom.
Bigger than the newsroom.
about twice the size. I'd
Really?
say.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of floor space.
Oh yeah.
And so that'll be them and beautiful in there. As you noted, the
You'll see in the pictures they had
best
like
clothing store.
Yeah. They had like a black shawl up on half of the side of the pictures Cody took. You can see.
Okay.
And behind that, that's the space where a beautiful boutique is going to be.
Ah, I see.
Nice. Next item.
They better not get Carhartts in there.
Don't worry.
Upset the advertisers.
No, that was one thing he said. There's plenty of other places to find Carhartt. So
Not the second largest selection of women's clothing, Carhartt. Only one for that, Shales Outfitters.
Charlie's Aunt to debut at Evergreen Playhouse with shows expected to sell out. Is this one Emily worked on?
She's in it, yeah. She's in a few of the photos. That's
cool.
Emily Fitzgerald, Chronicle assistant editor and local playwright.
Yeah, so the play features
Thespian.
colorful dresses, lights, and wigs going on at the Evergreen Playhouse. Written by Brandon Thomas, directed by Emily Brown. No relation to Emily.
Thanks for pointing that out.
The
I didn't know
comedic,
first names had relation.
the comedic farce tells the story as two friends, Jack and Charlie, convince their friend from Oxford, Lord Fancourt Babberley,
Is that your nickname?
to impersonate Charlie's wealthy aunt to their love interests after the real aunt cancels her trip. This sounds pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably great. I wondered if the headline was like a means of trying to drive ticket sales, like just tell everybody it's going to sell out. 'Cause it's the first one in a while where it's like this play is set to start Friday. Just expect it to sell out.
Like, this play's a banger. You got to get there.
Get there.
All right, next item. Woman accused of stealing from 3 Centralia businesses in a month, charged with felony. You kind of buried the lead, and she was stealing from, like, corpses? Is that what this is?
No, just money.
Not stealing corpses, just stealing money.
Just stealing money, yeah.
Not
It's
from
the first one I've
corpses.
seen in a while where it was in the jail log or on the press memo where they actually noted, like, it's a petty theft, but this is the third time in the month, and we kind of have to do something about this. And so she gets charged with a felony, Melinda Wilson. And then we found out just in reporting that we had missed the bank embezzlement or the funeral embezzlements
Yeah.
from the funeral home. And yeah, it seems, I don't want to throw the C word around, but kleptomania
Oh, is that the... Okay.
might be at play here.
Yeah, stole
That
up
C
to,
word.
up to $5,000
did
from
there.
Furlong Funeral Chapel and New O'Harling's mortuary between 2022 and also 2022. Perhaps that's a typo.
Yeah, no.
That was my first thought too. Was she's stealing from dead people? But no, just stealing from their families.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she then stole from, well, not the dead, and then from the Pendleton outlet. How dare she?
Yeah.
Up to $5,000 from the Pendleton outlet. What did she take? A hanky?
I don't know.
I think it's expensive over there, you see.
I see what you were saying. Yeah.
Do you have any other news items before we take the...
Oh, man, we got tons of news items that you have callously skipped over.
I put these together last night after you claimed you would write the notes.
And then I got busy today. I told you it was my most productive day, my
You
20-year
were bragging
career
about that,
in
but
this
not so
business.
productive. Where
One
you
I
can-
enjoyed, which we could probably say, but the Jack State Foundation is partnering with Chehalis Parks to host CPR certification classes.
That's nice.
They also noted, which I thought was a nice touch, that they're going to hold a fun run eventually. And you know the length of this fun run?
6.8 miles.
6.8 kilometers.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
in
I like
memory
that.
of Jack State, who stood 6'8" and
6'8"
reported
Jack
his
State.
scores as 6'8" Jack State.
His email address for a long time was 6'8" state or something.
It's it's a little like heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. So his daughter, Christine State Hutchinson, wrote the release and was noting how the reason is personal, that they're doing CPR classes because she was next to him sitting on the couch. I hadn't been certified for years and wasn't confident what to do. I did my best, but it wasn't enough, and I will never forgive myself for not being able to help him.
Oh,
very tough to read.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, if you want to sign up for that, there's a limited number of spots. The cost is $50, and it is 9 a.m. to noon, Saturday, January 25th. Okay. I can run through the rest of the news at the end.
All right, let's take our break then.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met Jacek of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
Let's see where you are in the notes. Man, we just blaze through those.
Yeah. All right, we're back. It is time for segments, and first up is Tales from the Takes page. Schwartz's computer is dead.
No, it's okay. I'm mobile.
So I will click the opinion page and just read headlines.
I did some of your precious letters last week after you tried to shame me for silencing the voice of the people.
Well, this letter writer has the real reasons for the shortage of STEM professionals, and it turns out they've come down with an illness.
Yeah.
The woke mind virus.
No, his point was that they're being like misused and like engineers specifically getting picked up by private companies. He says there's plenty of them. No one's whining about accountants and business people who do the same math classes and everything. So he said, don't worry about it. This one from Dave Fenn, ya boy, PUD commissioner. List of Inslee's failures is incomplete. When I got the letter, I can't remember what it was titled, but I was like, oh man, Dave Fenn disagrees with the letter writer. And then I got to the first line and was like, no. He was like, the only problem with your letter is you didn't include them all.
And another thing.
We got another letter to the editor from prolific letter writer Marty Ansley out there in Cinnabar. He says, MAGA Lewis County, how many times does King Donald have to slap you in the face?
Good question.
Another letter to the editor, we are in a new era. That's a climate change letter. It doesn't give it away in the title.
The climate is not changing, you fool. Just because Los Angeles is on fire in January, New Orleans has snow, and North Carolina had a flood in the middle of summer, all within the last 6 to 8 months, doesn't mean anything's different.
As the world turns,
You
Aaron.
rube.
This was my personal favorite letter because it wasn't really political at all, and I thought it was going to be memories of Colonel Sanders in another inauguration. This was letter writer Steve Craig talking about how he went to Nixon's inauguration in 1973, and they got there early, saw like a limo pulling up and thought that it was going to be Nixon. They got all excited, and then it was Colonel Sanders trying to sell fried chicken.
Hey, it was a cold day. That fried chicken would have been good.
His last line in the letter was like, you got to admit the Colonel was a hell of a marketer.
If that would have been today, I mean, Colonel Sanders would have been front row, right? Like next to Elon and
I would think
Musk.
so, yeah.
Depends on how much he donated.
Capitalist, you know.
What if he just donated like just straight chicken? Like no
Well,
cash.
Trump's a fan of the fast food fare.
That's true.
And
Ronald-
KFC, people forget this, is the OG of fast food. So,
Ronald McDonald would have been front and center. Should have been.
let's see, got another letter here. Letters who voted to infringe on our right to keep and bear arms should resign or be fired. And he was writing, I think this was in response to a Center Square story that we picked up. What I thought was notable is most of them are Democrats, but somehow Joel McIntyre, our 19th district lawmaker, caught a stray. He's on the list here. Not only that, but he's listed as a Democrat. I need to fix that. He is a Republican.
So when I said I was reading the Cavalier and Clay book, I actually have 2 books I'm midway through. The other
Sick
one,
humble brag.
The other one is the subject of Julia McDonald's column. I got that book for Christmas, and it's really good.
Oh, really? Cabin.
Yeah. Cabin by Patrick Hutchinson. I started reading it and read about the author, and I was like, God, this guy, he's from Southwest Washington. I wonder where. And then I found him on Facebook, and we have some mutual friends. So I assumed he was a Chehalis guy.
Another humble brag. Friends. Must be nice.
Acquaintances, sorry. But
yeah, he got great reviews. New York Times, Today Show, Washington Post. Everybody loves his book.
It's a cool book. I've been shopping for cabins now.
It's a great Julie McDonald column. She walks you through the whole story. He tried a bunch of jobs, just wasn't liking it. So I can go build a cabin. And wrote like a short story about it, and then built it out into a book. So
yeah, he was a writer doing like magazine stores and shit like that. And then one day he was like, "What if I just got a cabin?" And then you immediately went to the newsroom and said, "If anybody has a copy of this book, I am burning it right now. Do not open it."
It's barely a cabin, too. It's a pretty small structure. We got lots of photos of it from Julie.
But yeah, I'm glad Julie shot some. I was going to suggest it to you for a story, but Julie's already done it.
And let's see, one more. Brian Mitke proposed Washington bills would continue eroding local control of schools. Just kind of continuing on his theme from the last session. Just thinks that the control should be local and not as heavy-handed directives from the state.
Yeah. And another thing that should be local, rent control.
I liked Richard Stride's column, which was
rent control?
How to handle those unwanted holiday gifts without being rude, which I don't know why I'm laughing. But for the opinion page, I put that under Braun and then Mitke, and then I got to that. And it's basically just don't tell them you don't like it. Quietly do.
Also, you're doing
don't
this.
Don't re-gift it to them next year.
This is a month after Christmas.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the highs and the lows of the Tales from the Takes page.
All right. What about this letter? Don't go overboard on those sea salt purchases.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one.
You know what? I'm not going to read that.
He always writes interesting letters, and that one was, I believe, on the on uranium and sea salt.
I looked it up,
extracted.
actually.
Yeah.
How much uranium is in sea salt? Apparently, you would need to, I think, process about a ton of seawater to get, I think it was 0.3 micrograms of uranium. So
why are you researching such things, Owen?
Yeah, I read his
former military man. This is highly
curious.
I'm not doing anything out there in Salcombe. What are you talking about?
You've been asking to go to all those clam digs. Now I know why. Just joking. He hasn't asked for that.
Speaking of that cabin column, if you're building a cabin,
too easy.
What's the number one first repair you want to make on that bad boy?
I mean, if I'm building a cabin, I always build the roof first.
Absolutely.
It goes against what many would recommend, but that's just, the roof is important to me, and that's why.
Well, you build the roof, and then you set it aside, and then you build the rest of it. You're just going to throw the roof on top.
Yeah, well, you got to set it on there. It's like
That's how that works.
Like putting the lid on a stove, on a pot in the stove,
Yeah.
Just to keep everything in there. But yeah, I'd call the roof doctor if I was building a cabin.
Absolutely. They want to know if your roof is under the weather, or if your cabin's roof is under the weather, perhaps. Visit theroofdoctor.com, our favorite roofer in all of Southwest Washington, really. Mm-hmm. They've got locations in Chehalis, Hoquiam, Longview, Olympia, and Bremerton. All the way out in Bremerton, you get your roof.
I didn't even know they were in Bremerton. That's wild.
There's a lot you don't know about.
A lot of weather up in Bremerton.
Roofs. Yeah, there are. A lot of rain up there.
Mm-hmm.
They have roofs up in Northwest Washington, too.
Roofs?
Right?
Yeah. They sure do.
You're not wrong. Western Washington's family practice since 1959. Give them a call at 360-736-0246 to learn more. And remember, your estimate, always free. People's Champion of the Week? I have a few Centralia Volunteer Recognition Award nominees.
I mean,
there's
why
a
don't
lot
we
of them.
Just blaze down that list? They can all be nominees this week. Only one will win. We could pick who we think is going to win.
Chuck Kiefer and his construction crew. Peter Lamont, Scott Tennant, Lee and Bonnie Coombs for volunteering at the Forest Sports Park. Kurt Ivey of A Glass Enterprise. Brian Mitke, Judy Bell, Thomas Rawls, and Tuning of the Friends of Seminary Hill, along with David Jensen. Jacob McGee, Sybil Kuhn, Beth Sweeney, Jackie Franks, Bonnie Coombs, Holly Stidham, and Chuck Kiefer for their
deep breath
for their work volunteering to see or serve 4-year terms on the Centralia Planning Commission. Lewis County Master Gardeners member Jeanette Lawson, Friends of the Library member Kieran Dong, Rooted in Lewis County member and Centralia College advisor Lujan Rodriguez, the Borst
Luan.
The Borst Arboretum Botanical Society members.
Boredom? I don't even know him.
Including Rick Blum, Kathy Canane, Brad Ford and his crew, Centralia High School teacher Danette Jones, and the 60 students who volunteered to pick up garbage alongside her, and around 30 other students and school staff who helped rake leaves for local homes. Jean Bloom, Beverly York, and their crew maintaining the Borst home. Alicia Haney, Julie Zechter, Mackenzie McGee, Rebecca Stabler, Jan Nantel, Edna Fund, and Don Merchant for their work at the Centralia Downtown Association. No Hallie in there?
No. Did you scan this list for your own name like you did the mayor's 150
Oh, I knew I
things
wasn't
to
making
love
this
it?
list.
But you looked, didn't you?
I read the list.
You're like, wait a minute, I've contributed nothing. All I've done is take from this community.
Michael Clamola, who is a superstar for his work picking up trash. Fuchsia Fanciers member Gerald Fuchs. That's a club you were a part of back in the day, wasn't it? Lorna Shelton, who volunteers at Borst Park. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's a hefty list. So who's got the win? I'm backing our boy, Brian Mitke.
I like the
Chronicle
Centralia
editor.
Downtown Association for
That's a
their
good one.
fantastic work in selecting.
They had impeccable
parade
choice
people.
in their Summerfest parade speaker and one of their judges for the lighted tractor parade.
I was going to say my money is on Mackenzie McGee, actually, because during
Yeah.
the meeting, Maxvo, when he was announcing the list, he did say you're going to hear a lot more about her during the next meetings.
Oh, spoiler.
Oh, come
Spoiler.
on.
Was he like doing really big winks at her during? Like,
He
now
might
you
as well
all
have
have a
been.
good chance. She deserves it, though.
Yeah. All right. And the other nominee I have for People's Champion of the Week is the State Patrol write-up on a weekend party at Capitol Forest, which resulted in 3 arrests and 2 calls for medical aid. Kids are back.
Oh, man.
Just getting out there partying in the woods. Finally. You and I have been lamenting this for years. Kids just don't get out and do cool shit anymore.
Yeah, I think I did tell you the calls in Chehalis. They were having their fun in a vehicle at the park recently as well. Drinking their beers, listening to their loud music.
That's what
Kids
they
these
were
days.
doing. About 12:20 a.m. Sunday, 5 troopers were dispatched to the C-7000 line in Capitol Forest. They arrived to find 20 vehicles and multiple people, including 3 men, all 19 who were later arrested. 45 to 50 people were at the party. Yeah, that's a fairly big party.
I mean, it sounds like Capitol Forest is the place to have parties. And maybe it was always that way. I didn't go to high school around here. But there was also someone shot in the foot after an argument last month.
At Capitol Forest?
Yeah,
Was it
they
a
were
party?
asking for, it was a state patrol investigation.
Oh.
So they argued, and then one of them was shot in the foot. Another 19-year-old, I believe.
Well, not all parties end well.
Yeah, I'll take the kids.
All right.
Good to say fun. Can I highlight a story that will have this man's byline on it? Because I had a lot of fun with this one today.
Sure.
I asked you if you knew of Toledo's Brian Cook, 2009. He is a Toledo High School graduate. On February 15th, he will be wrestling for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in Everett. He's a professional wrestler. Yeah, him and his brother Kevin Cook. He goes by Evil Brian or Brian the Pirate Ghost.
All right.
Or just by Brian Cook. I had a lot of fun talking to him and the leader of his promotion today, and I think it'll be in over the weekend.
Did you get some
Good fun
photos?
Story. Yeah, he submitted a bunch of photos. I haven't been able to look at them yet, but I imagine they're going to be pretty good. He was a really fun guy. As we were talking, I heard a drill, like kind of whirring in the background. He was like, "Oh, don't mind that. I'm just hanging blinds. That's my job." And a number of other things. But apparently he's been doing this since he knew in middle school he wanted to do it, and he's been doing it off and on, and this is his chance. You know who else was NWA heavyweight champion?
Follow your dreams.
Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to win.
Oh, jeez.
Have you seen the script already?
It's anybody's game.
He was very down to earth, and he called it a really cool hobby. That it would be cool if it paid his bills, but he really just enjoys going out there and throwing himself around for the
that's
live
cool.
audience.
Good for him.
Yeah, we should go.
All right, where is it?
It's in Everett. We're not going.
Okay, yeah.
Chronicle is
Carried away
printed
here.
up there, though. We could probably hitch a ride.
Siren's banger of the week. I've got man charged with a felony after a 5-year-old reportedly sees him urinate at a Centralia park.
Yeah, I figured you'd go for that one.
The kid's mom told the sheriff's office she could see genitalia and it made her feel uneasy. The defendant, Randy Ray Roberts, admitted to peeing next to his car but denied, quote, having his pants down or being exposed. It was a misdemeanor but bumped up to a felony because the guy had a conviction back in 2018. The story doesn't say what for, which was kind of curious to me.
Yeah, the defense attorney, too. She's the defense attorney for a lot of people on their first appearances, but apparently she was pretty upset that it got moved to Superior Court, too, and it seemed like it was kind of a minor crime that I am certain he feels was blown out of proportion. He was charged, and
Judge Paul Strophe called the allegations, quote, generally alarming, but not, quote, a significant community safety risk. I tend to agree. It seems excessive. What are parks, if not but a place for the everyman to pee? I ask you, dear listener. Also,
you treat the entire city like that. Cemeteries at all.
I think I was peeing in a parking lot. Yeah, it's unfortunate that there was a kid there, but the story doesn't make it sound like he was, doing a flasher or that guy that's serially cranking off in restaurants and stores. And
there
whatnot.
are bathrooms right there.
Well, I actually looked it up. Those bathrooms are closed during the winter.
I mean, there's a whole forest.
But that's what I was going to say. I'm not going to deny and say that I've never peed in a park before, but
I probably did it
Criminal.
today.
walk away to where people can't
Aaron's
see
doing it
you.
right now.
There's a literal forest there.
Here's
Don't
another
walk
one.
too far into that forest, though.
this one is the one I
Just
thought
far
you
enough
would.
to where no one can see you.
I thought
solved.
you'd go with this one. This is at approximately 3:40 p.m. on January 19th. An employee at a restaurant on West Main Street reported a possible case of phone harassment, saying an unknown number had called the restaurant, told the hostess, quote, "I have explosive diarrhea," and hung up. Officers determined no crime had occurred. Which is just stupid,
Bart Simpson
but
right there.
man, I laughed at that one quite a bit.
The other one I liked a lot was the Sirens entry that someone in Chehalis reported somebody had stole their wallet in March and used their information to check out items from the library, which resulted in late fees.
Yeah, 10 months later, you get hit with those late fees.
That's all they did with their stolen wallet.
Are you going to accuse Sean Swope of this? He wanted to get materials, but didn't want to support the pornographic library.
He didn't want anybody to know.
It was Commissioner
he didn't
Scott
want to leave a
Brummer's
trail.
wallet. Just joking. I figured you would be taking that route. So
Yeah, Swope checked out biology for the adolescent boy. I have questions. You want to talk about your other favorite clothing store?
Oh yeah, give me just a half second here because we have two news items about
Chehalis Outfitters.
Yeah, about Chehalis Outfitters.
Go on.
First off, Chehalis Outfitters will offer a chance to learn about advanced float fishing and how to pull plugs for winter steelhead.
Go on.
It's it's a seminar for anglers of all skill levels. They can learn advanced techniques. It is going to be Wednesday, February 12th, 5:30 p.m. at Chehalis Outfitters. It's free to attend, if I didn't mention that already, and it is led by, let's see here, who we got? Kyle Dotson from Oar Angling Guide Service.
Okay.
Will be leading that one. Sounds like a lot of fun. And then they're going to have, give me another second here. They will have another seminar. If I can find it.
Ooh, these
Here we go.
dungarees are
They're
kinda nice.
Chehalis
Fishing seminars, man.
Chehalis Outfitters is partnering with Lewis County Master Gardeners to host a class on propagating with seeds from 10 to 11 a.m. February 15th. I think Kelly told us about this a couple weeks ago. At Chehalis Outfitters. No cost to attend that one either. You can learn how to choose the right seeds for your garden and growing conditions, tips and techniques for germinating seeds. I know you have yourself a bit of an outdoor spread there on the launch,
Yeah,
right?
I like to grow some veggies in the summer.
You should show up to this.
Maybe I will.
You should offer Kelly to do like a mole killing seminar on how you finally ridded yourselves of the mole.
I thought I'd killed one and he's back now.
Could be his brother, man.
It could be. He
Back
wants
for
revenge.
Anyways, Chehalis Outfitters, they had 4 pages of deals in the Thursday edition. I encourage you to pick those up. Check it out. I think it's still the winter sale there.
The winter savings, insert is in there. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, Frog Togs, breathable chest waders.
Frog
Get
Togs?
yourself some.
It's called Frog Togs?
Frog Togs, yeah.
That's a good name.
And there's an ad for one of those right next to a chainsaw and a gun. I mean, if you got a pair of waders, a chainsaw, and a gun, buddy,
You're ready.
you got your day cut out for you.
Ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Unrelated to Chehalis Outfitters, but I realized this today. We have not had a single flood watch this year, like this flood season.
Knock on wood.
I will, but I'm just saying I can't remember that happening previously. Mm-hmm. You blaming your old friend for this?
It does seem like
My
it's been
old
a dry day.
Global warming.
Old man Transalta? what old friend are you talking about?
I just know that was just interesting to me because I can't remember a year since I've been here that there hasn't been a flood watch. So
I've only been here 3 years, but this is definitely the driest January.
it's usually like an up and down, like, okay, it might flood. No, it's not. Here it comes again. It's going to flood. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It kind of fits with my theory. I think that atmospheric river moved up somehow, and now it's just hitting Whatcom County.
So you're
every time.
telling me that now that the state doesn't have funding for the Chehalis Basin Flood Authority, the floods just were like, well, I mean, you're not going to come play ball or take
Who
our
says
water.
they
and
don't
go
have
home?
funding for the Chehalis Basin Flood Authority?
I have no
Where are
inside.
you getting your inside information? That hasn't been announced, sir.
I have no inside knowledge or anything. I'm just, doing the math.
The Office of the Chehalis Basin is asking for $80 million, though the most recent report I actually heard was $90 million from recent.
Well, they need that extra $10 million to go find some water.
Could be.
Not a place to put the water.
No, flooding remains a serious problem. 2022, man. Don't you remember my flood legs? Do I got to bring all this up again?
Yeah, that was so long ago.
It
I'm
was
sure
3 years
something's different.
ago, but that was our last.
That
major
was
flood,
Biden's
though.
America. We don't have floods anymore.
Oh yeah, no. Trump just shouted them back.
Yeah, he actually just announced he was disbanding FEMA, so there won't be floods anymore.
They're victory soaks now.
Yeah.
Another executive order came down.
Yeah, probably. All right, Facebook comments of the week. On the big party in Capitol Forest, this commenter says, finally, teens are acting normal again. This should be celebrated. Another guy says,
commenter Aaron VanTuyl.
no, guys, it is the wrong time of year for drunk in the forest time. Way too easy to freeze. Wait like 2 more months. And somebody else says, kids these days just can't hang.
I mean, they're hanging the exact same way as kids in my day hung, off on logging roads with alcohol and their friends.
I don't know what more you want from these children. And then the other ones I had, the Lewis County Maternity House posted a photo of a new mother with her baby, which was reshared. They provide support and housing throughout pregnancy and the early stages of parenting for pregnant moms, and the comments were all just extremely positive.
I liked that. Yeah, I went into those comments, which I very rarely do, and I was delighted by just everyone encouraging. I liked the neighbor who said that there's someone that goes out on the back of the maternity house and sings every day, so she goes outside to listen.
It sounds lovely.
Wholesome coverage there. We'll have to do a follow up on it, but yeah, that was just sharing their post.
Oh, you're gonna go farther than sharing a post? How big of you, sir?
We wrote about it when they started. I said right about there's the first baby there. Man,
You also do what the Olympian does and just write up the Facebook post.
you have to be judgmental just because you were a donor.
That's going further, right?
Yeah.
Aaron donated his chicken and tuna money from Bob Ferguson to the maternity home. Very big of you.
Well, I thought so.
Little
What other news items did I miss?
Is that your only comments of the week? That's delightful.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me just run down.
There was a whole bunch on Dairy Gold getting fined.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people had some takes. Why is the APA picking on Dairy Gold? Nobody even got sick that we know of for sure. It was
a
7
lot
years
of
ago.
milk. I can't remember how much it was, but
Why are you complaining when a company gets in trouble for dumping their shit in the river? Like,
Yeah.
that seems like a slam dunk. Be like, yeah, good. We're gonna.
that was
prevent it
one of
from
the
doing it
higher
again.
fines on there too. If you're looking at that as an indicator, it did seem like if you have to read through a lot of like the government-ese though in the EPA filing. Like it's not really easy. It's not like they just wrote, yeah, they let 100,000 ounces of milk into Dillenbaugh Creek. But it seems like they didn't have the right plan set up. And then at one point, we did have a sirens report last year about this massive amount of milk that was spilled. So I kind of waited to see for the other shoe to drop on that one. Sorry, bumped out again.
You really missed an opportunity in the headline to
I
go
know.
with
There was a
Dairy
lot of
Gold fined
different
over
things.
spilled milk.
I've seen the same thing in news coverage of the egg price crisis on eggs being very expensive. Seattle Times couldn't help themselves. Pretty much everyone that's written on it so far has had an egg pun in the headline. Shelling out more money for eggs.
Oh, that's not bad, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Eggs cracking up supermarket prices. Just shameful. Come on. Winlock's seen enough of this in their time.
What do we have in the next edition? What do you have in the next edition?
I just run by a little more on Cronline, if you don't mind. There's tons of legislative news. A lot of it's from the Washington State Standard,
Not
but
familiar.
some other stuff as well. We've got Washington State House Democrat pushes bill requiring a liability policy insurance to buy or possess firearms.
Interesting.
Would be real popular with the Lewis County folk, I imagine.
Sure.
Should Washington State's Fish and Wildlife Commission be dissolved? ? It's your rule for headlines. The answer is no. Have you? You were a former sports editor. Have you talked to the Toledo track coach before?
Oh, is it Chaplow?
It is.
Yeah, years ago, his kid played quarterback. He was always an assistant coach for things too. Nice guy.
I talked to him today. For the track team has a sausage, an all-you-can-eat sausage biscuits gravy breakfast from 8 to 11 a.m. on Saturday, February 1st. They'll also clean your car while you're eating, and the cost is $5.
That's not bad.
Raising money for track. But he did note in off-the-record fashion, because I don't think he wanted to gripe about it
And
too
so
much.
you're going to do it now.
The dirt track. They still have a dirt track. District champions in 2023.
Yeah, gravel
And they
track,
still don't have a track. This isn't raising money for that. This is more for entry fees and such. We have Lewis County Sheriff's Office deputy pleads not guilty domestic violence charges. That's a follow-up on Jeff Humphrey. He was in court yesterday.
Did he just swing by downstairs to pick up his paycheck while he was there?
He is on administrative leave, sir.
Paid
Administrative leave amid an ongoing negotiation or investigation. Woman allegedly parking her car on train tracks in Chehalis while drunk, then causing a disturbance at Centralia Hospital.
Well,
the way Emily, our crime reporter / assistant editor, explained that one was that she kind of woke up and was like, I think I might have gotten hit by a train, and they showed up and the car's wedged under the train.
oh no.
She did. Bail set at $100,000 for Packwood man arrested after JNet detectives see him participate in a drug deal in Chehalis. They followed him all the way to Rainier.
Could have been anybody.
I want to see the vehicle that JNet was in for this, where they were able to follow this guy all the way up there and then like block him off. Let's see.
It's quite a trip, though.
Yeah.
Randall to Chehalis to Rainier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really just took a...
Actually, I went Packwood, Chehalis, Grand Mound, I believe. Made some sort of deal there, left with a drone that they were guessing he's traded the drugs for, and got out of there. We've got a public
Free market
celebration
at
of
work.
life for all of our friend, Daryl Lund.
Oh, that's, next weekend, right?
Yeah, friend of all of us, February 1st. This is like the community celebration, right? He's done the family one already.
They did, a private funeral for friends and close friends and family already.
Man
Aaron?
sirens, man becomes aggressive after being cut off at bar. Yeah. I would like to apologize.
I read that one. I don't know why I included it.
That's
There was
never
no
happened
other
before.
info. He was just mad.
You know what? Who
This-
among us?
This could
I've
be
been
good
about
if
to.
a
That's
state...
every night at a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a state worker is to find themselves in the Ferguson 6%, bottom 6%, Winco Foods begin hiring for Centralia Station location into February.
Okay.
That's just the news from like the last 24 hours, I want to say. We've been highly producing in the newsroom this week.
All right. Good for you. Anything else before we get out of here?
Lots of stuff in there, but we don't need to go through all of it. Thanks for listening.
All right. We're sponsored by Owen, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Glad to be here again.
We're sponsored by Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Leave a review and rating on Apple Podcast if you want, or send your very real podcast hosts an email at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com.
Very real.